Okay, so this is Alexis Nunes, and I'm interviewing Aris Corsino, and we are in the sixth floor lounge of De Silva Hall. It's February 18th, and it's 6:30 p.m. Okay, so Aris, how did you pay for college?
Well, I got a lot of student aid and financial aid. I took out both the unsubsidized and subsidized loans from the government, and I also got a private loan as well.
Are you aware of scholarships, and if you are, did you apply to any, and how did that work?
I am aware of many scholarships. I did apply to a couple, um, especially because I'm a fine arts major. There are some scholarships, but I applied for a St. John's scholarship, and it really, pretty much, to make a long story short, I ended up missing almost a full ride scholarship because the financial services and they were just all switching people, and so pretty much my information got tossed around and lost, which is, I mean, it's a pity because I met the people that got the scholarship, and it's based on a numeration of a portfolio, and I got way higher than them, so that meant that I would probably guaranteed have gotten the scholarship. And then as for other scholarships, it's a little harder for me to get them because there aren't as much scholarships for fine arts students. There are a lot of like academic ones for other things. So usually all the art students apply for the same ones. So it becomes less, your chances become less, how do you say, your chances just become a little minuscule when you try to apply for these types of scholarships, especially because so many people are applying for them.
The ones you did apply to, would you say they helped you trying to pay 55 grand?
Well, the ones that I applied to, I didn't get at all. So I guess they didn't help. But the only thing that helped was I did get a academic scholarship from St. John's. I got a resident grant from St. John's, and I got a couple other grants and scholarships from St. John's. Uh, but as for scholarships that I had to apply to, I don't think they helped because I didn't get them.
So, seeing that housing deposits were due on Friday, what would you do differently for next semester in trying to pay?
For next semester, well, my plan is to go back home and work off the summer, pretty much have something saved. I didn't make the first deadline for the housing deposit, but thanks to the weather, I was able to make the extended one. So I'm kind of excited about that. But also because I think they didn't tell us in advance about this deposit. So a lot of people were like, "Wow, like seriously." So, I mean, 500 is not a lot, but it is a lot to come up from one day to another. So, I mean, I'll make sure I have that 500 for for the next time they ask that.
So, for student debt, you said that the school didn't give you a fair enough notice for the housing deposit. Do you think your high school prepared you on ways to pay for college or to avoid student debt? Did you feel
Actually,
prepared?
my school did a great job with that. We have one counselor that is especially dedicated to that. She pretty much helps us not only search for colleges, she helps us with like aptitude tests, and then she also tells us different things we can do financially. She makes us aware of different scholarships, ones that you can apply for. And especially because in my town, where I came from, there's a lot of town scholarships. And I actually did get some of those, but they were just like $100 or $200. And I really don't think they really helped for tuition because that pretty much just paid off for food and stuff like that I had to bring over here. But as far as applying for scholarship, they did really help. I mean, the only thing is, in my school, is if you want the help, you gotta go get it. Because they're not, a lot of people don't, in my time, a lot of people don't really go on to school. They just, go on and get a job or something like that. But definitely, I was in the guidance counselor in day out, and I would ask my guidance counselor and be like, oh, what do you think about this essay? Do you think it's good? And and then they give me a couple pointers. They'd be like, maybe you want to do this, because one thing she made that was a really good point was these people read tons and tons of essays a day. What makes you think that they're going to choose yours? What makes yours stand out? Because everyone's going to be like, I want this thing because such and such and such. But then, it just becomes very uniform, and then you try to be different. But at the end of the day, everyone's saying, I want this because such and such and such. Don't say you want it. Say why you need it and why you're the person most adequate for it. So that's one thing I learned from my school that they helped me with, applying for scholarships and stuff.
So you mentioned that if you want it, you have to go get it yourself. So do you feel that, that's how you think, but do you feel other students think that way? Or do you think that the majority of students just expect the money to come to them?
I think a lot of students do not think that way. Unfortunately, some of us don't have it as easy as others. I know a couple people that I'd ask them, it's like, oh, you're applying for any scholarships? No, I don't need to. I'll be fine. I'll be great. And then you're just like, really? Really? No, come on. Are you serious? But then now you talk to them now and they're like, wow, oh my gosh, I had to borrow so much money. And, and then maybe you're like, hey, maybe if you would apply for a scholarship, you might have gotten some help. But, some people just don't prefer having to sit there for a couple hours and write an essay that's going to end up giving them a couple grand. But hey, that's not everybody that's going to give up time like that. But for me, I think it's something beneficial, even if I didn't get them. But, it was one step closer than not having the chance at all to get it.
So the average student debt right now is about $26,000. Do you think that you will be close to that amount? Or say if you are, how are you going to pay that off? Or how would you try to avoid it?
After graduation? I'm going to be over that.
Over that. And
yes.
How do you feel about that?
It is a little overwhelming, but to me, I think education is something very important. And nowadays, it's harder to find a job it's harder to find a job in the workforce with or without education. But with an education, it just makes it a bit easier. Especially because I'm in the fine arts program. Usually, they really like to see experience, and in coming to school for fine arts, you do get a lot of experience. And I think it helps out because 26 grand, nowhere near where I'm going to be in debt. So
how does it make you feel? Do you feel nervous? Does it make you feel overwhelmed?
I feel that maybe it's going to be a little difficult for me in the long run. But then I also feel that, if I don't do this, then what else am I going to do? If that's all the money that I had, then I just had to make it work. So, there's people that have more than 26 and they're doing just fine. So that's what I look at instead of saying, oh man, what the heck is gonna happen? I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
so you definitely think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it. I think education is worth for all we pay. Sometimes people don't take it to advantage, but I'm definitely, if I'm going to be in debt, I'm definitely taking it to advantage, and I'm definitely learning.
So, as far as scholarships, again, do you think that, when you applied for your scholarships, did you ever go out and try to find them yourselves, or did someone show you them? Did someone bring them to you?
Partially were shown, and partially I searched myself. They have scholarships for brown eyes. They have scholarships for natural hair. They have scholarships for being 5'8". They have scholarships for anything today. And, as far as like ones towards my major, my art teacher, she showed me a couple. I searched a couple, but unfortunately, there's not many for people going into the art field. There's a lot for independent artists that aren't in school, but then you can't use it in school, so you can't really apply for those. And then there was a couple that, especially in my school, what they did with all the community scholarships, they had these packets where you had to fill in your information. You talked about your major. You talked about student organizations you were in, and then based off of that application, they were able to narrow it down as for a finalist for any of the other ones. So I mean, some I went for them, and some were like shown for me.
So you said that a lot weren't available for art students. So do you feel do you feel that you should like so are you saying if there were more scholarships for art students, do you feel you would be in a better standing, or did that just push you to look for more scholarships outside of being an art
Um,
student?
I think I think there should definitely be more scholarships for art students simply because art schools are very expensive, and I came to St. John's, and it's about the same price as the art school, but when you go to art school, you're getting less financial aid as compared to what St. John's gave me. So let's say Parsons is like 50 grand, and St. John's is about 50 grand. St. John's could give you 35, and Parsons will give you like 10. So, that's 40, that's a good 40,000 you have to get out of your pocket. And, with the lack of art major scholarships, it just really doesn't help. And then sometimes you want to apply for other scholarships, but then again, some of them they're like, oh, if you're taking criminal justice, if you're studying mathematics, if you're studying abroad, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, but not much say, oh, if you're going to study, fine arts in any, school. And then some art schools they'll have scholarships, but then you have to go to their school, and then I'm just like, really, like, for me to go to get this scholarship, I have to go all the way to Ohio to a school, and I'm just like, no, like, that's not the school I want to go to.
So basically you're saying that the funding helped you choose which school you wanted to go to?
Yeah, of course. St. John's was definitely one of my top choices, just because I like the whole aura of it and I liked how it functions. Um, but sometimes you do wanna go to that dream school, but in a realistic world, if you had to choose between being like $50,000 in debt or just in 22, I mean, you're gonna go for 22. At the end of the day, you might not get a better education, but you're still getting the education, and you still have time to prosper and make it better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, for my last question, as we wrap this up, so basically, if you could give anyone advice of how to avoid student debt or give them a piece of information of something that worked for you or didn't work for you, what would that be?
Um, well, obviously apply for scholarships. Apply. A lot of things that people don't know is that most universities have other scholarships beyond the ones that they give you automatically, but people really don't know that because they just don't look into it. They think that, if they're gonna give me a scholarship, they're just gonna give it to me based off of my transcript. That's not true. Because if I wouldn't have checked online for St. John's, I wouldn't have known about the fine arts application. Also, of course, like I said before, do the scholarships. There's nothing, you're not losing anything. Okay, you might lose 2 or 3 hours of your life, but you might gain a couple grand.
Nothing to lose.
Also, another thing is, if you go to school in state where you reside, I know that in my state, New Jersey pays a lot. I would be going to Rutgers practically for free. But then again, I wanted to go out of state. I wanted to have a different experience. So that's lost in my point of view. But I could go there for grad school. So pretty much, I think that's what I think is best when it comes to school searches.
Uh, Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing this interview with me, and maybe we can follow up later. But thank you.
You're welcome.